over the course of 2024, we collected a lot of figures and accessories and everything like that in between. And today, I thought it'd be fun to go back and to look at my top 25 favorite items that I picked up in 2024. Now, for the most part, these are just going to be anime figures, no kind of in between or anything like that. But I did have to put in between because there's a few extra little things in here. But for the most part, anime figures, and I did try to give a variety. I didn't want to just do just Fring bunnies. I know that'd be easy because they're expensive. So what I judged it off of is not necessarily how good they are, but how good they are for how much they cost, how hard it was to get them. Everything in between, I think all of that matters to me in terms of how good it is in my collection. Also, I tried not to be real biased whenever it comes to some figures and like some series, whether I like the series quite a bit, and now that I have it, I tried not to play into that too much. Now, I can't be perfect. Obviously, I'm going to have some bias, but I tried not to do that. So like, for instance, Love Live, I didn't just put a bunch of Love Live stuff at the top because I like Love Live. Tried to be as unbiased as possible. Now, one more thing I will mention before we get started. This list is not necessarily things that came out in 2024. That would be kind of hard because some things come out in Japan a few months early, so they might have released in Japan in November of 2023. I didn't get them until 2024, and then some other items came out much earlier, and I just picked them up this year. So just to be simple, it's items that I bought in 2024. Now, most of them are new releases, but for the few that does not apply to, here you go. But anyway, we have 25 figures to go through, so we might as well just go ahead and get started with number 25. Speaking of Love Live, number 25, you. This is a figure that I really never expected to get. I mentioned this in the unboxing of her, which is up on the channel. Most of these have unboxings. You can go check out if you want to. There is a playlist you can go check out. I'll put that down a link in the description. But this figure I never really expected because technically she's not an idol. She's more of like the main character that goes around with all of the idols. So when we finally were getting a figure of her, I was really excited. And I am very pleased with how this figure turned out. I think she's very cute. I think the pose they did for her is really nice. I'm very happy with this figure overall. And it's one of my favorite Love Live things of the year, to be honest. There is one or two, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is something above this, but for the most part, it's this. Now, not everything is real big, real, cool to look at and cool to put on a shelf. Some things are kind of tiny, and this is one of those. My Tiny Senpai, the main character from that. I really like this little Nindroid here. This is one of a couple Nindroids that is on the list, and I will be honest. There is one simple reason that this one is above some other Nindroids, because there's a lot of cool Nindroids of characters that I just picked up this year that really are going to get one Nindroid. That's all they're ever going to get from their series because it was kind of a very under the radar series. And that is simply because her character is very well endowed in the anime. That's kind of the joke of the series. And it is very funny to me, and it always has been, that to see a Nindroid with a very, very large chest, I think it's very funny. These little bitty chibi things, and then they just have this boop. I think that's very funny. It's always given me a smile to see this, and I like the character. And I'm trying not to be biased, but I do like this character. I like this anime, and to have something from it is very cool. So there you go, number 24. Now, number 23 here is a bit of a unique one because it's not a figure, it's a plushie. But I really do like this. I think it's very cute. I like the little outfit that they gave her. It's kind of, smushed. It's a very small little plushie, but I like her little feet that wave. This is a very cute one. There actually was 3 that I picked up from this line. There actually is 6 in total. I've not been able to get the other 3 because they were sold out on pre-orders and everything. Why I put this one above the other 2, because I could have just put all 3 of them here. So she is known for having this little mole in like her upper thigh, and there it is. Very cute. Number 22 here is a bit of a newer addition to the collection. This is actually one of the figures that I got from that mystery box that was the Ami Ami mystery box where you spend $300 and you get 4 random figures. And this was one of them, and this was my favorite out of that set. Spoiler, the other ones are not on here. But I really like this one. I'm not a huge fan of ReZero, but I do think this was a well done figure. I think the details on it are pretty cool. I do like this big thing on the back. I think that kind of adds to it. Do I love this figure? No, but I do think it is really cool. And I do think for what I spent on it being cheaper than if I would have bought it, straight up, it's worth it in my opinion. And it makes this list just barely. The next one here, kind of another similar thing like the plushie. It's a bit of kind of a cheating whenever it comes to saying it's a figure. But this one meant a lot to me whenever I finally was able to add it to my collection, because I've actually been looking for these for a long time. And so there was 3 of them that I picked up. I picked up Mami, Chizuru, and Ruka. And here is the thing here. It's simply the fact of how hard it was to find, the design being more etchy than the series usually is. All of that kind of contributed to me really wanting to find these. And I did spend quite a bit to get these, so that's why it's kind of lower on this list, even though it means a lot to me. But I really like these because I think they are kind of unique to that series. And being a harder one to find, it's really cool to add these to my collection. So yeah, bit of a different one for number 21, but there you go. The next one here is the most recent thing that I have picked up, and that is Chisato here from Licorice Recoil. Now, I didn't love this figure, and you'll see that in the unboxing review that I will put out here in a few weeks, but I did like it enough that I really am glad that I picked it up. Now, I can't say the same for Takina. Now, this was a 2 set. It was Takina and Chisato. Now, Chisato looks identical to the way she was in the anime. They pretty much made up Takina's outfit. But for Chisato, I really like this. I think it's very cute. The only issue that I do have with it is that I do think it's a bit basic in some of the designs. It's very good. It's detailed, but it's kind of basic, like the base here. It's not an awful base. For instance, that Sword Art Online figure that we got, this is a much better base than that. But the bases for her and Takina are the exact same. But I'm going to kind of be more critical on Takina than I will be Chisato. But really the only major criticism that I have for this figure is that it is kind of flimsy. She's only held up by 1 peg down here, but otherwise it's a really good figure. I'm very happy to have this now, and I think she's very cute overall. So yeah, very happy to have her, number 20. And the next one here is Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and it's a Nindroid, but basically the only reason she's here is because I love this anime so much, and to have her as a Nindroid now is really cool. I did also get the pop-up parades from this series this year, but I actually decided to go with the Nindroids because I kind of like them a little bit more. I got David and Lucy last year, or in 2023, so in 2024 I picked her up. She was the last of the set. We are getting 1 more from this line in 2025 with Lucy in her astronaut outfit, so maybe she'll be a part of the 2025 list. We'll have to see, but very cute. I like this one a lot. I think they did a good job with her. Now for number 18, this is the one that I was kind of mentioning that I'm cheating on, because technically it's not a figure and it can barely be described as a kind of merch item, but it is technically merch, and it is from the Miku Expo this year. It was the light stick from that, and I'm kind of cheating because I put this on here simply because the Miku Expo was one of my favorite things that I experienced in 2024. I wanted to mention that because it was really cool. That light is not showing up on camera, but I really enjoyed that. It's one of my highlights of last year. So this light stick was very hard to find. I was talking to some other people while I was there. They were like, I couldn't get the light stick. How'd you get the light stick? I just bought it whenever I bought the ticket, and there you go. So I'm very happy with that. I'm hoping this is not my last Miku event. Maybe it'll come back to America before too long. But anyway, yeah, very happy to have that. One of my highlights of the collection that's not figures. Oh boy, the comment section is going to be upset now. I've put a Funko Pop on the top 25 figures of the year. But this is a really cool one. Like, even if you don't like Funko Pops, ignore your hatred for 1 second. This is pretty cool. Like, some figures, some prize figures that cost more than this are not this well done. All the ribbons going around her here, this is really cool. And I'll be spoiler for you, this is the only Funko Pop on this list. But man, it is really well done. I really like Daki. Daki's one of my favorite characters from Demon Slayer. And I really like this. This looks really cool. Giving her the eye things there. Some of the other demons they released this year don't have the eye markings, and they gave him to Daki, so I'm very happy. This is like the perfect Daki figure, and honestly, it's better than some of the prize figures we've gotten from Demon Slayer. So I don't see how you could really hate on this because it is very good. Even if you say, oh, I don't like Funkos because they all look the same, you can't say this about this because of the detail in the eyes and the face and everything. It's much better than even prize figures. So yeah, very happy to have her. As you can see, I do like the line, but I know many of you do not. So there you go. Now, speaking of prize figures, this is actually the only prize figure on the list. I know I should have found more that were better, but unfortunately, prize figures, especially this year, unfortunately, have been very hit or miss. Some have been very good, some have been very bad, and I think really most of them have been meh. And but I will say, this is an exception. I do like how this line has been done. So this is Yotsuba from the Quintessential Quintuplets in her swimsuit here. This is the actual third version of her in a swimsuit that we've gotten, but I do like it. I do think it's very well done. I think the body proportions and everything are very well done. It's very pretty, and I will give them credit. Whenever you do a prize figure right, it can really be worth the money, since these are only like $20 to $30. They're worth it if they're done right. Unfortunately, for 2024, it was a bit of a meh year. Hopefully that improves for 2025. Into the top 15 with what I consider to be the second, not best, but the second best valued figure I have seen in 2024. This is Runa from Our Dating Story. This is the bikini version here. This is a 7th scale figure, and this was like 40 bucks. There are prize figures that are more expensive than this, and I can guarantee you they are not this detailed. This is an amazing figure that I love so much. Now, if it was a $80 figure, I'd be more critical on it. It might have been 20th, but being the price that it is really good. I adore this figure so much for that price tag. And if you are a fan of the series, I highly recommend picking this up. You can still find it. Worth every penny. In 14th place, we have Teasing Master Takiya-san here in her little sundress outfit. This is one of the earlier figures that I got this year. One of the early unboxings that I did. Is short before I started doing actual unboxings and full-length videos. And I really like this one. I like the way that her face looks. I think it's very pretty. I like the dress. I like the pose. Considering this is only on one peg and it's a very tiny one, you know how I complained about the Chisato back there? It's a lot more sturdy. It's shaking, but it's shaking with the base. Like the whole figure is shaking. And this is a very sturdy figure for that. So, gotta commend them for that. And yes, it's kind of simple, but it's very well done. And I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Kind of a grassy base there. Just an overall very pretty figure that I'm very happy how it turned out. And happy to have a Takiya-san figure in my collection now. Now, in 13th is the infamous ecchi figure that I bought this year. This was kind of a fun figure, and I still like it. I think it's a very well done figure, and I do want to get more of these, not because I really want the ecchi version of them, but I want to get more original characters that are not based on an anime, that are just artists that usually make anime stuff, but for once, they decide, I'm going to make my own figure, and then they make a figure out of it. This is one of them. This is the Guitar Sister version, and it is very cool. I think the details on it are really well done. I've actually got a few original characters that I already pre-ordered. You'll see them later in the year. Maybe they'll make the list next year, but I think this one is very well done. I'm very happy with it, and if you angle it down, you can see her, she forgot to wear underpants today. In 12th here is the only Hatsune Miku figure. Now, I know we had the Hatsune Miku light thing, but this is the only figure. I know I've gotten a few Hatsune Miku figures throughout the year, but this was the only one that I really thought was worthy of being on this list. There was others that I thought were good, but the more I've sat with them, I'm like, yeah, they're good, but they're kind of 30th to 40th of the year good, not top 12. But this one is a really well done figure. My only complaint with this one, and this one probably would have been a top 6 if it was not so expensive. This was kind of a very pricey figure. It's a 6 scale figure. It was over $200. That's kind of high for me. I think if this was a $140 to $160 figure, I'd be much more lenient on saying that it's a very good figure. But at over $200, that is a big bullet to bite. Number 11 brings us the first Freeing Bunny. Now, this is not the only Freeing Bunny. There are actually 3 on the list, so stay tuned for those. Take your guesses. But this is Hayasaka from Love is War. This is the only Love is War bunny we got this year, but I really like this one. I think it's very well done. I love the detail on her face. The body is fine, but really it's the face that really sold it for me to be one on this list. But I just think it's a very well done figure, and I think it really goes to show how well Freeing has started to do on the faces. Now there's some coming next year that I think that's kind of questionable. They always hit it, but we'll look at those when we get there. But I think for this one, they really did a good job. Into the top 10 with a Nesoberry. Now, is this a release of 2024? No, this came out much sooner than that, and that's why I had to say that at the start. But I really like this one. This is Hanamaru. This is the Terra Jumbo Nesoberry here. This is the 4th Terra Nesoberry that I have, and I love this little guy, or gal. But yeah, so I pick up usually 1 or 2 of these a year. This was the one that I picked up for 2024, so there you go. Probably will be another one of these on the list next year, because I love these little guys, and hopefully we'll see another one next year, or maybe a few. At number 9 is actually a figure that I have just recently picked up. This is Nino from the Quintessential Quintuplets. This is the White Angel version. Now, I have gotten 3 of these in 2024. There's 2 more to be released in 2025, and this is one of 2 that are on this list, so find out who the other one is here in a minute. But I really like this one. This one is very well done, and since I have had it out of the box and sitting on the shelf for a few days, it has really grown on me. I think it's really well done. The detail on her dress and everything looks really, really pretty. There actually is an unboxing of this coming out tomorrow, so if you want to go check that out, it will be out tomorrow. So subscribe and you'll see that whenever it comes out. Now, number 8 is a figure that I kind of hate putting so low, because really I think this is a better figure than number 8. What holds it back for me, and this is Anya and Yor as a little 2-pack here, what holds it back for me is that they are removable from this base. And they do have magnets on them. You can kind of see here, they are not going to fall off, but they're not on there perfectly. I kind of wish they had little pegs going into their butt to hold them up a little bit better, maybe a base, but it's a very pretty figure. It's beautiful. The little couch here, or the little ottoman thing, or whatever this is, stool, very pretty, very pretty. The figures, very pretty, very detailed. Love that. I just wish, and that's the thing here, I love all of these in the top like 10, so every little detail matters on where I place you, but this is an amazing figure. Number 6 might be the biggest figure by mass that we got this year, and that is Lukoa from Dragon Maid here. And there is a lot to love about this figure, but I think really what made me love this figure so much is the detail on the hair here. I think hair is something that can be very easily messed up, but they nailed this hair. I love the transition from yellow down to blue. I think that's very pretty. Obviously, you know, but also like the little hands here. It's just a very pretty figure. And these Dragon Maid figures with the little horns here, very pretty, very detailed. I like that a lot. I do hope at some point we get Elma and what's the other one? Ilulu. I hope we get both of them at some point, get a full set of them. They're releasing tons of them from other series, so I don't know why you couldn't finish off this line at least, but hopefully, because this one is one of my favorites of the year. Now, just missing out on the top 5 here is Ichika. This is one of the newest figures that I have gotten. It is goes along with the Nino that I mentioned before. This is my favorite out of this line so far. I love the detail on this figure. I love the look of it, the dress, and it's just perfect. This character, it's just, this dress, everything about it is just perfect for this character. One of my favorite figures that I have gotten in my collection. All of these are characters that are figures and everything that I love in my collection now. But this really is just, it's a beautiful figure and a character that I adore quite a bit. Number 5 is a figure that I like so much. This is one of my favorite figures that I have ever seen, and I just can't get enough of this figure. The tiny details from all the little accessories that you get with her, the door in the back, and then just the detail on the figure itself. It's a 6 scale figure, so you do get a little bit more details, but unlike the Hatsune Miku one, it feels like this is actually worth that money you're going to pay for it, and it's not as expensive as the Hatsune Miku, but it's really well done. My favorite Chizuru figure of the year, actually. So, but there's some harsh competition coming very, very soon for Chizuru, and I'm sure with season 4 coming out in 2025 that we will get tons more Chizuru, Ruka, and the rest of figures. So, will this stand the test of time? We will have to find out. Now, earlier I mentioned that Runa was the second best priced figure, best value of the year. This is number 1. This is Marin here. This is my dress up darling. This figure was a massive hit. This is amazing. I love this figure. Everything about it is really, really pretty. The face looks great. The detail of her doing her hair in the back looks great. The way the bikini is, perfect. Perfect figure here. And at only about $90, it's a steal. You cannot find a better figure for that amount of money. I know that Runa was only like 40 bucks, but I think Runa's worth $40, or it's worth a little bit more than $40. This one could easily sell for $120 to $150, and I wouldn't complain. But at $90 and probably on sale now for cheaper, it is worth every penny. Remember whenever I said that there were some interesting things that I couldn't call all of these figures? Well, here you go. Number 3 is the Chisato uniform replica. So this is actually like a cosplay thing, but it is official. It is by Cospacito, I think, Cospa. They make a bunch of stuff, and they made this. This is beautiful. There is a lot of cosplays you can buy online and everything, and I'm not going to judge any of them. And if you've bought cosplays online, I think you can all agree with what I'm about to say, but I'm not saying those are bad and that you shouldn't buy them. They're great and they're work for cosplay, everything like that. But this is beautiful because everything in it feels authentic. It doesn't feel cheap, because some of those that you buy are going to be very cheap. That's what I was going to say. But this feels like it's worth it. Like, for instance, here, there is like a inner liner on this. That doesn't need to be there, but it's there. All of this just feels so authentic to what this would actually be like in universe. One of my favorite things I've ever purchased, and worth it in my opinion. It does sit on a mannequin all the time, so it is getting no use. But hey, I love this thing. One of my favorite things to see in my collection. One of my favorite things I've ever added to my collection. In my all-time list, probably in the top 20. So there you go. Now, number 2, and technically the best figure of 2024, is the Nagatoro freeing bunny here. Now, freeing bunnies are kind of a unique way of making figures because you know exactly what you're going to get with them. You're going to get your favorite character in a bunny outfit, and I've said this a few times about certain bunnies. Hayasaka is kind of fits into this, but not exactly. But some of them, you could take their head off of them, put them on another bunny, and they would be the exact same. You could not argue that they are a different character on a different body or whatever. They are like, oh yeah, the bodies are all the same, doesn't matter. There's nothing unique about them that makes their character, you know, kind of unique or whatever. They don't try, really, it's just a bunny outfit. It's kind of bland. I can't say that about this one because this has not only her skin tone, which you can't really replicate for another character because she's one of the few dark-skinned characters that they give that to, but the teasing way of her pulling down the bunny suit here, the face looks great because you easily, Nagatoro and Marin's the same problem because they gave this to her with her ring figure, which is not on this list. But she has this like grin that she will do sometimes where she does her teeth. That would look awful on a fraying figure, and I'm so glad they didn't do that. It would have looked awful, and they didn't do that. They gave her a normal face that would fit for this moment. They did the pulling down the thing. They gave tan lines on where her normal like swimsuit, school swimsuit thing would be. All of that is such perfection to make one of the best freeing bunnies that I have ever seen. Just beautiful, and it's one of the biggest voluptuous things that I have seen as well. So just knocked it out of the park with this freeing figure. But number one is just, there was no doubt about it. Whenever I started to make this list, I had to debate on a few. I had argued, should Marin be number 2? Should Nagatoro be number 2? Because Marin's better value, but I like Nagatoro a little bit better. Should the Licorice Recoil outfit even be on this list? Should it be lower because it's kind of expensive? It's very hard to find. All of that was up for debate. But there was one figure, technically not a figure, we'll get to that, but this one was number 1. It is number 1 of all time. It is one of my favorite things I have ever bought in my life. And I have never been able to find another one. This is the only one I've ever seen. It's very, very hard to find. You will not be able to just go out and buy one if you wanted to. Let me show you what number 1 is. And my number 1 figure of 2024 is Nezuko. This thing is amazing. So you've probably seen this in some of my videos. It sat in the background in the old anime room. It'll sit in the background in the new anime room. And it's just so perfect. It is a massive, massive plushie here. For instance, I will show you this. Here is Nezuko the plushie next to a Nezuko Funko Pop. This thing is huge. I bought this back in January through Entertainment Earth. It was the only time I have ever seen one of these for sale through an official site. The only other time that I've ever seen a plushie of this size, of this brand, for sale was at Anime Frontier. I saw there was a Miku one in 2023 that was going for $700 that I skipped on, and then there was one in 2024 that I wish I wouldn't have skipped the first time because it was $1,200 the second time. Now this one I got for $700 through Entertainment Earth. It is one of the most expensive things in my collection. Not quite the most expensive, but it is by far the most expensive thing of 2024. And yeah, maybe I'm a bit biased because it's the biggest thing, it's the most expensive thing, all that, but I do really like this. I think the detail in it, the little dress, everything like that, just, it's perfect. I love this thing. It is by far my favorite thing that I have gotten this year. So what is your favorite thing you picked up in 2024? This has been a really fun year for me in general of collecting stuff and showing it to you guys. It's fun to do that. It's fun to see your opinion on a lot of things, good or bad. Um, I do I'm considering making a top 10 worst things that I picked up in 2024. Let me know if you're interested in something like that. But this was really fun. We'll do it again in 2026 when we look back at 2025. But until then, thank you so much for subscribing and liking and everything like that, and for watching. It's been a great year of collecting, and here's to another really fun year ahead. But as for me and Nezuko, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.